Where's our gobble music? There we go. That was good. That was
Pretty good.
We gotta get him on the air here. Anyway, welcome and aloha, everyone, to Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where we talk story with Maui's nonprofit executive directors and staff to find out how they're working to support the needs within our community. Maui Nonprofit Notes is generously sponsored by Pacific Source. If you're building or remodeling a home, you've just got to check out the Pacific Source warehouse and cabinets and appliance showroom in the Waikapu Bayshard.
There we go.
Oh, I like that. Very good, Gary. I'm Susie Tiemann. I almost forgot who I was. I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific and President of the Maui Nonprofit Directors Association. And it's my pleasure to introduce Max Tornai, Executive Director of Mediation Services Maui, who's our co-host today.
Thanks, Susie. Always a pleasure to be here.
Isn't it, though?
It is. It's almost always a pleasure to be here. Let me
Almost
quantify
always.
that. Yeah.
Whoops. Okay.
No. No, but yeah, I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving. We're closing the office a little bit early today.
Yay.
So
Are
after
you
this-
open Friday?
We are not open Friday,
Whoa.
so we are celebrating Thanksgiving till Monday.
There you go.
Yeah.
Way to go.
But each week during this hour, we share the experiences of how our nonprofit agencies are working to benefit our beautiful island home, with stories of how these agencies are changing lives, changing communities, and creating miracles of hope for those in need. And today, we have two incredible agencies on as guests. We have Maui AIDS Foundation. We have Steve Heyer and Dana Nitty. So welcome.
Thank you.
And then a little bit later, we'll have Dana Alonzo Howarth from the no longer Community Health Center. Susie, how do you pronounce it?
You're going to get me, aren't you? Malama Ike Ola Health Center.
There you go.
Yes, Susie. Didn't get tripped up on the Hawaiian words, at least not the first time through. Later on, I will do it, I promise. Okay, so what are we going to start with? We're going to talk about Dine Out for AIDS, or we're going to talk about World AIDS Day?
Well, let's start with Dine Out for AIDS.
Okay.
Because that is coming up on Monday, November 26th.
Okay.
And we have three incredible restaurants that are going to be donating 15% of their proceeds on one night or evening to the Maui AIDS Foundation. On Monday, November 26th, we have Leota's. Leota's, in case you've never been there, it's also a pie shop. They have
A
amazing,
yummy pie shop.
amazing pies. The banana cream pie is to die for.
The chocolate is delicious.
And so that'll be from 10 in the morning till 8 p.m. So that's all day. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Now, is that on everything? Is that like on, if you go buy a pie?
On everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
You don't have to sit down and eat there.
No. You do have to let them know that you're dining out for Maui AIDS Foundation.
Great.
Okay.
So don't forget
And it's
that.
a long time, so you can go twice.
2-3 times. Yeah.
Several meals.
Yes, several times you
Brunch.
can go.
Yeah.
Tuesday, November 27th, we are going to be dining out at Casanova Upcountry. That's from 5 to 9 p.m. And then at 9 p.m., Willie Kay will be performing up there. So that
wow, nice.
make it worth your trip if you don't live up country. And then on Wednesday, November 28th, we're at Oceans Beach Bar and Grill, and that's in Kihei. And that's from 6 to 10 p.m. On all of those, again, 15% being donated to Maui AIDS Foundation.
All right.
Now, at Casanovas and Oceans, do you need to make reservations?
No, you don't need to make reservations. I think that Casanovas will probably be a little bit more crowded because of Willie Kay
Kay.
being there. So I think people are probably going to go for dinner and then stay for the show. So if you want to make sure that you get in there, you might want to make reservations.
Or get there at 5 or 4:30?
Yeah, I get there. In
Stay
plenty
the
of
whole time and order a lot of food.
Right.
There you go.
And
There
don't
you
forget
go.
to mention Maui AIDS Foundation
Right.
so that we get the percentage.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really great. You know, more and more agencies seem to be moving in this direction to have the dine out nights
Yeah.
instead of the big galas that they used to have and so forth. Because you guys have done some big galas, and that takes a lot of work, I understand.
Yeah, it sure does.
Right. Well, this way, we support them and they support us, and it works for the whole community
Right.
that way.
And the variety is there. That's also a good thing in my book. It's not going to one hotel and
Right.
Right.
so this is pretty neat. I'd like to see more of
Yeah,
this.
and you guys did pretty well. You covered a lot of different areas on the island. You have Lahaina and Makawao and Kihei, so you
Yeah.
can't make one because of the drive, there's one probably in your neck of the woods.
Right.
Yeah, we didn't want to leave you any excuse not to go.
I just live up the street from Casanovas anyways.
Ah,
I really have no
perfect.
excuse.
So we'll see you on Tuesday night then.
You'll see me on Tuesday night, November 27th.
And I'm on the Lahaina side, so I'll be going to Leota's.
Yeah, I'll be going to Leota's too, even though I'm not on that side. But but I'm in Kihei, so I'll be going to Oceans for sure.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's very good. Very good. So, well, the only area you don't cover is Wailuku and Kahului.
Right. But we figured this at least,
This is the first time for this,
it's
right?
the first time for this, and we
Yeah.
hope to make it,
Okay.
So you're
do it
building.
again every year.
Make it a tradition.
Make it a tradition, and also, the week leading up to World AIDS Day around the world has just, used to be just one day, and now they're kind of celebrating it for a week. So this is kind of our way to merge into World AIDS
Oh,
Day.
really?
If you want to make a donation, though, our office is in Wailuku.
Yeah, let's not leave out.
We may have
Kahului
some
and-
candy
I
around.
was,
You
I
can
was going to
stop in and
say,
make a
that's,
donation.
there's always food in your
I know, there's
office.
always
I know that.
food.
Yeah, we've got pumpkin pie in there right now.
Oh, I'll follow you back
Yeah.
after the session. Okay. That's a good idea. That's a good alternative.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So now you mentioned World AIDS Day is kind of a month-long celebration.
Well, they celebrate it every year on December 1st, and more people have been celebrating the week leading up to December 1st and doing events and making it, bigger than just one day, to kind of remind everyone.
The whole idea of World AIDS Day was to bring awareness to AIDS.
Right.
So the longer we can bring that awareness, the better it is for the community and for the people with AIDS.
Sure. And so this is actually an event as well. It's not just like you're celebrating this and,
Right.
with the rest of the world. You actually have an event
Right.
on Saturday the 1st from 5 to 8 at Gannon's.
Yeah, and it's free, and it is open to the public, all ages. So we're hoping that we'll even get some kids to come out and, kind of get educated and learn a little bit.
And this is a sharing event. If you've had somebody in your family that has had AIDS,
Right.
or
Or
people you
or
know.
it's a way to remember the people that have lost the fight against AIDS. So the friends that we've lost, we always try to remember on that day. So
That's really important.
right, and we want to celebrate the hope of finding a cure for
Right.
this.
Are we winning the battle?
I'll tell you, it's a battle that people think we're winning, and because it's still not out there. By the time we're done with your radio show today, 2 people in the U.S. would have died of AIDS.
Oh my gosh!
So we're losing 1 person every half hour.
Wow.
So I wouldn't say that's winning.
That's not winning.
Our goal is to get to 0. That's the theme for World AIDS Day, is getting to 0. 0 new HIV infections, 0 discrimination, and 0 AIDS-related deaths.
Now, is the battle harder because most people still try to ignore that they could have it, and it
Yeah.
gets a stronghold before it's.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of people that don't know they have it. So
That leads into one of the main services that you guys provide, right? You do confidential screenings, right?
Testing.
right, and testing.
And there are a couple spots that are in different parts of the island if you can't make it to your office in Wailuku. Is that right?
Right, we have days across Maui. You can always call our office, find out where we're having it and when.
What's that number?
242-4900.
242-4900, and that's to just ask any type of question.
If you have a question, anything, please give us a call. It's better to find out if you. We have free testing, so we have free not only HIV testing but free Hep C testing.
Oh yeah.
So-
There's also
At one point, I think I heard something about older people are trying to ignore the possibility that they have AIDS,
Right.
but it's a growing number of people. Is
yeah,
that right?
and women is a growing number of people.
Really?
Yeah. So it's a lot of people think it was a gay disease because the first people here in the U.S. that got it were the gays. Well, that's World AIDS Day started to raise awareness that it's not just gays, that it's everybody's at risk. The Red Ribbon came about. I don't know if you know the story behind the Red Ribbon. The Red Ribbon was designed by a group of 12 artists back in New York, back in, I think it was 1991. And it was to have a symbol to help raise awareness. And the reason they came up with the red ribbon was to symbolize passion, heart, and love. They had thought about having a rainbow ribbon or a pink ribbon, but they decided not to because that would make it look like it was a gay disease, which it isn't. So they want to raise awareness that this is something that affects all of us. You know, it may not affect you even, but it may be affecting your grandkids or someone you love. So it's something to pay attention to. It's not something that's gone away. There is no cure for AIDS. There is no vaccine for AIDS. It's, if you get AIDS right now, it's still a life sentence. So you may not die right away, but it's not something you want to have.
Right.
So for sexually active people, should all be tested?
Definitely.
Is that a truism?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're sexually active, if you've had more than one partner, because, you know, people say, well, I've only had sex with this one person. Okay, well, who has that person had sex with?
And there
Every person that person's had sex with is like you having sex with them.
Right. Okay. And there is a time period. I mean, it's not like it has to be yesterday
As far
as that having some other partner,
Right, right.
because there's a time frame before it makes itself known in most people.
Right. Yeah.
So they can
And
they
they're-
can say no, I don't have AIDS, and they're serious.
Yeah.
Or
They-
I don't
well,
have
they
HIV.
may have been tested, but there's a window period
Yeah.
where you can have it and it won't show up.
But the
Okay.
testing procedure has gotten a lot more efficient over the years, right?
Oh, yeah, we have a 20-minute test. So you come in and you have the results right away.
Back in the day, it would take days or longer, right, to get
Well,
a test?
back in the days, at the beginning, we had no tests. We didn't
Well,
even know
right,
what
right.
we didn't even know what was killing us.
Right,
you know, they
right.
thought it was a form of pneumonia, and they're thinking, well, how are these people getting pneumonia?
Yeah.
You know,
Okay, I was going back to the day of mid '90s, I
Oh.
suppose. Yeah,
I'm
you're
a
right.
little-
You're
I'm
right.
a little older. I was there for the beginning of this, so when I go back, it's back to that because that's when I saw all
Right.
my friends dying of this
Yeah,
disease.
yeah.
But there was all these things trying to keep it so that it was secret. Nobody knew you had been tested by using numbers or something and all that. I remember hearing about that a few years ago.
Right.
And you'd get a phone call or that you'd call in or come in.
Yeah,
and
you had
get
to
the
come
report.
in to get your results.
Yeah.
And that would be such a nerve-wracking experience, waiting and just
Waiting for
not
weeks.
knowing.
Yeah,
So it
even
would
us.
literally be weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, just a year or so ago, we didn't have the rapid testing. You had to wait. We had to ship our results off to the mainland and
Oh,
get them
wow.
back, and it'd be weeks before we'd
goodness.
know.
So the
So-
mouth swab test, is that how you guys do it now?
Well,
Or
Yeah,
don't
for
know.
the for the HIV.
Yeah.
for HIV? Okay.
and we're going to they're coming out with a blood test that should show up sooner than the 3 months. So that's something new that'll be coming up.
Okay.
So they're always coming up with. I wish they'd come up with more cures instead of more
Right.
tests.
Right.
Right.
But we need to know who is positive. That's the main thing, because when you have a quarter of the people out there that don't know they're positive, infecting other people, that's a problem. You
Sure.
need to come in and find out.
Sure.
Plus, if you have the disease, you need to find out right away so you can start treatment right away. It makes a big difference.
What? I don't want to put you on the spot, but what percentage? Do you know the stat of what percentage of adults are sexually active? I assume
in,
it's pretty high. Yeah.
in my circle, none. My age, none.
Oh, Steve, come on. Come on.
Well, I mean, also you shouldn't necessarily be laughing at that because abstinence is one of the surest. I mean, probably the only sure method of prevention, right?
Of prevention,
Yeah.
of birth control,
Right,
of
that's-
just
Yeah,
about everything,
right,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But it's no
is that
fun.
realistic? right.
But obviously that hasn't worked real well.
Right. Right.
Hang on to that thought. We're going to take a commercial break here with Paul and the folks at Pacific Source.
Sounds good.
Aloha, this is Paul from Pacific Source. We'd like to wish everyone the happiest of holidays and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and Lock & Tina folding doors. Maybe you can give your home a holiday gift that you'll love. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380 or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we are back. This is the Maui Nonprofit Notes weekly radio show where we talk story with our executive directors and their staff. And right now we're talking with Executive Director Steve Heyer of the Maui AIDS Foundation and the Director of Development for Maui AIDS, Dana
Nitty.
Nitty. Yes, okay. And we were just talking about the number of folks on Maui that have been diagnosed as AIDS.
Yeah, HIV.
Or
HIV,
HIV,
yeah.
which is the precursor to AIDS. Does it
Right.
always turn into AIDS?
No, it's when your CD4 count goes below 200,
Okay.
then they consider you having AIDS,
Okay.
or unless you get an opportunistic infection.
Okay. Because we hear about some people who have HIV, and it seems like 20 years later they still just have HIV.
Yeah,
Is that because they've been on a course of medication that has been working for
yeah,
them?
or it depends on their body too.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
But
okay.
a lot of a lot of it'll be the medication helps a lot.
Okay.
So, yeah, you want to keep your CD4 count up. So
Okay.
normal's between 450 and 1200. So
Yeah.
when it,
Yep.
when it drops, that's when you can start getting infections and
Before the break, we were talking, about sexual activity and the link between sexual activity and AIDS. And I made the mistake of forgetting that there's a whole nother component to it that we talked a little bit about in the break, and that's
Right.
needle usage, drug
Needle-
usage. Yeah.
Yeah, sharing of needles.
Right.
That's another way of getting HIV. So, and that happens a lot. So we get a lot of those too.
Right.
So-
Back in the early days, it was even blood transfusions
Right.
right.
could be a source of it, but they've
Now they
pretty well
test-
cleared that
Yeah,
up.
they've cleared that up, so that's not a problem
Right.
anymore.
But the needle
So-
thing probably still is.
The needle is a big, that is a big problem.
Right.
Because people that are on drugs really aren't paying much attention to, they want to get their drugs.
Right.
They don't
Care
think
where the needle's been or what it's been through or
exactly.
who's used it.
Yeah.
But now,
I-
getting them in to be tested has got to be a really hard,
Right.
a tough problem.
Just getting people in to get tested is hard because there's such a stigma still about,
Sure.
they don't want to know. Well, if I don't know, I don't have it.
Oh, we hear that about so many. Breast cancer,
But, right.
I had an aunt who refused to go have a mammogram ever because she said, if I don't know I have it, I'm okay.
Right.
Oh, that's such
Isn't that
strained logic.
Yeah,
you know,
and she's
it's
from
tough.
a family that's loaded with breast cancer patients.
Oh,
So, but she was convinced of that. If she didn't know she had it, she was fine.
Right.
yeah.
So,
People,
That's a challenge though to overcome for you guys.
yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It is a challenge.
And-
It's definitely a fight we've been fighting now for years. It'll be, 31 years
Wow.
now we've been fighting this. We still don't have a cure. We're still battling it, even though a lot of people want to push it to the side and say,
Right.
oh, let's not worry about HIV. But it's a big problem, especially the young kids now didn't see their friends dying like we saw. So to them, it's like, oh, HIV, oh, that's no big deal. They don't realize that's why it takes us, we not only do testing, but we do education, and try to educate the children and the public
Yeah.
of what this can do to your family and your friends and your loved ones.
do you get into the schools and do some programs?
Yeah.
and things for the kids to show them.
Right, and we do well with the police department, the fire department.
Yeah, that's why events like World AIDS Day on December 1st is so important. So you can bring those memories back, so you can honor those memories, and use it as an educational tool. And you
Right.
said that you were expecting some youth to be there, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully we will.
Yeah.
So
The-
we need to bring this awareness back. You know, it has sort of faded from public view. And Maui AIDS Foundation is trying to bring this back because it is such a problem. Like I said, we still have somebody dying every half hour. You know, that is a problem.
That's
And I would think that years ago people were dying and they never knew what it was.
Right.
It was just another
Yeah.
not natural causes necessarily, but the death was unexplained.
Yeah, and it was hitting the gay community real hard in San Francisco and Los Angeles. And at the time, everybody was running around going, what's causing this? You know, so-and-so just died. What's going on? And nobody, even the ones, nobody wanted to say they had it. Even once we learned what it was, there was such a stigma that people were saying, oh, he's got cancer. He died of cancer. This is still happening today.
Yeah.
Wow.
That people don't want to tell their loved ones that they have HIV because there's a stigma to that we have to end. And, education's the best way to do that.
Yeah.
Educate the people.
yeah.
People still put their loved ones in the back room and feed them off of paper plates because they don't want to get sick.
Oh my gosh.
That's because they're uneducated as to even how you get HIV.
How
So
awful.
No, I think it's great that you guys are still going into the schools to do this education. I remember when I was in middle school back in the early 90s, and there was, sorry, Susie. But
I'm glad there's no TV screen so they can see the look on my face at that point. In the middle 90s, okay.
Sixth grade. But I do remember that there was a case of a boy who got HIV through a blood transfusion, and his community, his neighborhood, everybody basically rejected him. There was so much fear, but an organization similar to yours came into our school. We got the facts of how it's transmitted, and that really does, from a young age, help frame the mentality of what the reality actually is. So that was really important. So I commend you guys for still doing that.
Yeah.
thank you.
Are there any movies or shows out there that portray a positive spin on knowing about HIV or anything?
There's
there's such a
there's
thing.
lots of videos on
Yeah.
HIV stories.
Okay, they just aren't shown as often as we see other things.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
maybe we'll have to do some research and put those on our website so that people
There you go.
That's a
Yeah.
good idea.
can go on our website and and
Yeah.
find places to
And-
learn
and-
more about it.
And the history of it,
Right.
which it's really interesting.
And is it my imagination, or is there very little like commercials or
Right.
promo pieces about?
Well,
you
there's
may
no
find
mo-
it for
Yeah,
AIDS Day.
there's
but-
no money for it.
Yeah, but some of the promotional materials should be free. I mean,
Right.
they have to do a certain amount of free for nonprofit things like this. But it seems
You
like
do see it
HIV and-
somewhere.
Yeah.
Some places we see it. I saw it when I was in Detroit in the mall. Walking through a mall in Detroit, they had big posters on HIV in the mall, which I thought, wow, this is really great,
Yeah.
So I'd like to see that here to
Uh-huh.
educate our young people, especially
Right.
the ones that are sexually active. Usually, the younger ones,
Right.
I would say, are the ones that don't think they can catch anything, and they're the ones that really need to be educated. Because I hate to see these
Right.
young 20-year-olds coming in my office HIV positive.
Or they think, I can just take medication now and it's not
Yeah.
a big deal.
Yeah, but there's two parts to that medication thing. One is the extreme cost,
Right.
Right.
and it's forever.
Right.
And it's
And there's
forever.
And
the
it
side
may
effects
not-
probably.
Yeah.
Oh, the side effects from the drugs, are horrendous, some of them.
Yeah.
You think, you get on these new drugs, some of them give you bad hallucinations. Some of them, you'll get the runs continually. So there's it's not a fun thing to
Right.
have. You know, it's
Right.
not like, you know,
So don't go there.
it's not like, oh, I'm just going to drop this pill and I'll be fine. That's
Yeah.
not the way it is. You can live longer, but it's not going to be the quality of
Quality
life
of
that you
life.
had before.
Right.
Right.
So that's what they have to realize.
So again, that number is 242-4900, or check out their website at mauiaids.org. And we've got World AIDS Day on December 1st. We've got Dine Out for AIDS at Leota's on the way to Lahaina on Monday, November 26th from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Pick up a couple of pies and
Yep.
take them home.
It's next Monday.
It's Monday, right? Tuesday at
Casanova's.
Casanova's in Makawao, 5 to 9 p.m. with Willie K coming in at 9.
Mm-hmm.
And then Oceans on Wednesday, November 28th in Kihei, 6 to 10 p.m. And tell them you're there for the, because of
Maui AIDS.
Maui AIDS
Dine-
Foundation.
Dine Out for AIDS.
And 15% of the tab goes to you guys.
Right.
That's
We
right.
sure can use it.
I got you. Sounds like it.
Yeah.
It's-
We have a lot we try to do, and there's so much we want to do and don't have the money to.
I understand. I
We're,
understand.
we're trying hard here to help our community and protect it and serve the people that have AIDS here
Yeah.
on the island.
And
So
you
it's a
need-
big job.
You need their cooperation to come
Right.
in and be tested,
Right.
get tested.
And then come to World AIDS Day on the 1st. It's at Gannon's.
Yeah, it's at
Yes.
Gannon's. If you don't know where that is, it's in Wailea. The address is 100 Wailea Golf Course Drive.
Very good. Thank you for coming in and
Oh,
talking
thank
story
you.
with
Yeah,
us.
thank you for having us.
It's been a fast half hour, huh?
Yes.
And thank Dana for letting us go first.
Okay. And we're going to bring Dana up to the microphone and we're going to talk a little bit about her organization and what they're doing. Thank you both.
Thank you.
And we work with Dana a lot, and
I'll bet.
she does a great job over there.
Yes, she does. So this is like a health-themed.
Yes, it
Maui
is.
nonprofit
It is.
notes.
And it's a
today.
local show because everybody can walk here except you.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, we're all within walking distance.
I'm
But-
a sucker.
Yeah, well,
what
what
are
they
you gonna
say.
do? No, I'm just kidding.
But
All
you're,
right.
you're close enough.
That's true. That's
Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Dana and Steve.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
have a nice Thanksgiving. Okay, Malama Ikeola Health Center,
Formerly known as
the community health. What
Community
was it?
Health Center of Maui.
Maui?
Is that true?
Was that it?
Community clinic. in
Community clinic.
Maui.
That was it. That was it. Thank you, guys. So that was in the old days in the little building down on Lono,
You got it.
and now you're in this. Well, now you've been in it what, 3 years?
Since 2009, so
There
3
you
years,
go.
September of 2009.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you've got your dental thing all up and running.
We've got our dental thing all up and running, and we just opened our new WIC clinic, a 2,000 square foot WIC clinic. WIC is our Women, Infant, Children Supplemental Nutrition Program. We were fortunate to get some USDA funding through the Department of Health and built that out and just finished that and opened our doors yesterday.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. So that's
Congratulations.
really exciting. Yeah, our staff have been making do in a temporary space in our clinic and finally now are able to really spread out. We've got their own waiting room and a playroom and education rooms and space to really just provide a great service.
Is there anything you don't do over there?
Well, there are some things we
I was
don't
gonna
do that
say,
we're going to.
You've got a list, and
We've
you're
got a
working
I was
list.
gonna
on-
say, what's your wish list? Where do you go from here?
Where do we go from here? Well, you know, we were really fortunate this year to get some additional funding through the Affordable Care Act to finish the remaining renovations of our facility. We've got about 14,000 square feet of renovations that are still yet to be completed. And so we
How
we're
big is that place?
36,000 square feet.
Oh my gosh!
Isn't that incredible?
It doesn't look like it from the
No.
outside. It's got a second story. and,
Okay. Okay.
so we wrote a grant and we're funded for $4.6 million, and we're intending to finish that space over the course of the next. We're hoping to be done in early 2014, and we'll have a brand new OB wing, so that our 3 OB GYNs who have been really patient and sort of being and making do in their own space in the clinic is going to have our OB wing and procedure rooms and exam rooms and an ultrasound room and non-stress test room. And so it's going to be really exciting, and we'll be able to then branch out and open a really small pharmacy for our patients that use our clinic and, do some other services that are really needed.
Dana, that is so amazing. I remember the last time we overlapped on this show. It must have been over a year ago now, but I was so impressed. You were just, I think you were just starting like the dental stuff at that point. I was so impressed with your progress up until that point, and to see that it's just continued and probably will continue, from here is, just amazing. So good work.
And across the country, organizations like yours are the up and coming and the things of the future. Is what I'm reading in a lot of
there's
materials.
several thousand federally qualified health centers across the nation, and in Guam and Puerto Rico. And, we're really becoming sort of the cornerstone of healthcare because so many people can't afford healthcare anymore.
Right.
And we're really about serving the underserved and those who, can't access care anywhere else.
Yeah, and that was actually my next question. Who qualifies? Who can come in? Can it be anybody?
It can be anyone. Our target population is those who are uninsured, Medicaid, Medicare. And certainly we take those who do have private insurance. I use the clinic, and I have private coverage. I've always believed in what we do, so I use the clinic myself.
That's great.
Yeah.
And what about tourists? I was flying back from the mainland recently, and my airplane neighbors had an emergency tooth situation, and they were asking, is there any dental clinic on Maui? I said, check. Pointing them in your direction, but is that
sure?
So it doesn't
Absolutely.
have to be just.
It doesn't have to be. Again, our target population is for the underserved, but anyone can use our services, and we just happen to be specifically targeting, the underserved.
Right.
Yeah,
But you
really
can't
need
turn anybody away.
We don't turn anyone away, and
Yeah.
again, those who don't have insurance, we you provide proof of income, and you'll pay a percentage of what those charges are.
Okay,
Wow.
Yeah.
that is very, very impressive.
Little old Dana did this.
Well, I didn't do it by myself. I've,
No.
and
got a
you
team.
folks know this.
Yeah.
We are executive directors. We are simply leaders, and we try to really. We work with a team of people who, without those folks, we couldn't do what we do, and I really mean that.
That is so true.
We just couldn't.
Right.
And you can't say enough about the staff that we have in our nonprofit organizations.
Right.
Really.
But it's the ED that motivates and has that goal for the staff.
Yeah, the vision.
And
I
the
suppose.
vision and the mission,
Yes.
the whole thing for it. And you've been there how long now?
Oh my goodness! I
Uh-oh.
just celebrated my 17th year on
Wow.
November 15th. It came and went. I didn't even think about it until I think yesterday. I thought, oh, the 15th. Okay, that was a couple of weeks ago. Oh well.
But the first 10 years were quite a struggle.
The first 10 years were really a struggle for us. We started in the Kahaleakiola Homeless Resource Center in a 1,000-square-foot clinic. I can remember there were three of us to a desk. We just all shared, and we made do. And then we moved over to our Lono clinic, which we outgrew the day we moved in.
Wow.
And people used to say that. I mean, literally, you would have to almost turn sideways to go down the hall if there was more than one person coming because you couldn't fit. And we made do all those years. And I have always been a firm believer that just because people are underserved doesn't mean they should have less than health care or facilities. And the fact that we're able to have a state-of-the-art facility for people who really need care is just it's so heartwarming. Really, it really is.
And the need for care for those folks a lot of times is greater than it is for others.
Absolutely.
Just because of how they are living and eating or not eating.
Yeah.
It's just, I can't say enough.
Yeah, and I mean, this has been part of the national debate for the last however long. I mean, probably since we've been alive, but it's been so focused recently in the last election and, since, the last decade anyways, how much of a problem, not having affordable health care really is. You can have one major illness that wipes out your savings and puts you into debt just trying to recover if you don't have insurance or access to a place like your clinic.
Bankruptcy. A lot of
Right.
people lose their entire livelihoods on one incident. And, it is a debate, and people deserve health care. They absolutely do,
Absolutely.
and they shouldn't have to use the emergency rooms as a form of health care.
Right.
There should be places that they should go, and they should have coverage.
The emergency room is the most expensive place they can go.
It absolutely is, and it's not the way that the emergency rooms were intended.
Right.
They're for true emergencies
Right.
that people need to
Life
have
or
immediate
death.
life
Yeah.
or death.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
On that note, Paul and Pacific Source.
Aloha, this is Paul from Pacific Source. We'd like to wish everyone the happiest of holidays and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and Lock & Tina folding doors. Maybe you can give your home a holiday gift that you'll love. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380 or look us up online at packsource.com.
And here we are on the day before Thanksgiving, and we're talking about some things that we really should give thanks for. The clinic, the folks at Maui AIDS, what they're doing. Matter of fact, we could probably give thanks for all the nonprofits here on Maui.
There are so many things to be grateful for on Maui. Just the fact that we live on Maui is.
There you go. And
I'm grateful enough for that.
I said something to somebody, a group the other day. I said, let's go around a room and everybody say one thing you're thankful for. And it was amazing how many people, there's a group of maybe 16 people, it was amazing how many of them could not think of something to be thankful for. And I'm going, wait a minute, we're not talking, outrageous things. We're talking your health, life, living on Maui,
Life,
having a job, having a home.
Right.
Just
There's so many things.
and I think everybody has something to be thankful for. And we look at that and we say, yeah, but there's the homeless living on the beach. They're thankful there's a beach.
That's a
You
good
know?
point.
And they're on Maui.
Hello? Yeah, I mean, you could be in the middle of the Midwest where there's no water, no beach, snow.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody yesterday who, after 10 years of being homeless, has finally gone up the list in the Section 8 housing program and now has a home. And it's been like 2 months, and she said, I finally feel like it's safe to leave the house because it'll be there when I come back.
Oh my gosh.
And just, I mean, think about that. It's just, to me, that is mind-boggling because, thank God I've never had that problem. But I think at any given time, any of us could be in that
Absolutely.
situation.
It's true. It's true.
And just listening to her talk about it, I just sat there and I go, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she said this Thanksgiving is really special for her.
That's awesome. I mean, that's awesome that she was able to get
Yeah.
to that point.
That she's finally got a place that she can call home.
Yeah.
And it's just, as I look around, I like to think that my eyes are open, by all the experiences that we all have as
Yes.
executive directors
Yeah.
and so forth. And there really is. I mean, we can go right to the very basic something and be thankful for it.
Yeah.
And for many people, of course, you can go to the elaborate things and be thankful for them. But there's so many things that could be taken away from us that we don't really need.
Yeah, sometimes you don't, well, you don't
Appreciate it.
appreciate
Yeah.
things
Take it for
until
granted.
you don't
Yeah.
know what you got till it's gone.
But standing there in that group and looking at those people who are hesitating, trying to think. I mean, at first I thought, well, they're trying to decide what to say, And the bottom line was, it wasn't that. It was, what am I thankful for?
Right. It's interesting. It's so easy to get caught up in, your everyday life and the stress from your relationship or the stress from your job and have that just eat at you, the negativity just eat at you. And it's so easy to get caught up in that. I'm sure you deal with people that are dealing with health issues all the time, Dana, and just the stress that's involved in that. At mediation, we constantly are dealing with people that are in legitimate excessive problems sometimes, and so that's what I love about Thanksgiving. It brings a day back to just
Basics.
relax and think about what's important. So
Yeah. Some people look at it and say, well, so-and-so's not here because they died this year. Well, okay, but can you be thankful for the fact that you did get to know them and had them in your life for a
Right.
while.
Right.
I mean, other people haven't had that experience.
It's a
so,
perspective shift.
yeah,
Yeah.
it truly is. Appreciating what's around you,
Yeah.
and taking time to smell the roses.
Right. Yeah.
Back to the old thing. Anyway, let's
I
get back
appreciate what's
to the
around
clinic.
me, which is Dana.
Let's get back to the clinic and talk more about your WIC program.
All right. So WIC, again, Women, Infant, Children Supplemental Nutrition Program. It's actually a federal program that was designed to really get to bring nutrition into women and children's lives. So the program is specifically for the underserved folks from birth to 5 years old and women who are breastfeeding.
Okay.
And we provide what we call food instruments or actual coupons and checks that women can take and go to the grocery stores and get nutritious food, all the way from fruits to grains, cereals, milk, juices, and they get this on a regular basis.
So wait, let me back up a little bit. Somebody that qualifies would be able to come to your clinic, and it's almost like getting a voucher that they can take to
Yes.
the grocery store for specifically these healthy
For
types
specific items, and only certain stores carry these items.
Okay.
And again, you have to have a child who's newly born or up to 5 years old,
Okay.
or you yourself have to be breastfeeding, and you'll get it for a period of time throughout. As long as you qualify and you're within, either have these children or you yourself are breastfeeding. And then we provide nutrition counseling. We've got registered dietitians on staff that actually do nutrition counseling and assessments and evaluations.
which is incredibly important for the development, the healthy development of your
Absolutely.
baby. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we provide infant formula also, as well as breast pumps for our women who breastfeed. So it's a very holistic program.
Yeah. That's.
So it's getting them started on the right track.
Yes, and teaching about nutrition, teaching about reading food labels, and teaching what's important that I'm giving my child, or what are the things that are important for me while I'm nursing.
Yeah.
So it's great.
Because the consequences down the road, I mean, a lot of times people don't think, years down the road or what the consequences of poor nutrition could actually be, but they can be pretty severe,
We're
right?
seeing it now in our, we have a really high prevalence of obesity in our nation, and our children from very small are, there's obesity problems, and it's really about diet, activity, exercise. It's all of that. And so we're really helping to contribute to that. The whole health center model is really not just about acute treatment. It's not about let's get you in here and let's put a Band-Aid on what's wrong. Let's look at what's causing it. Let's maybe catch it before it turns into diabetes or high blood pressure.
Right.
And let's do some prevention. So our whole model ranges from prevention, screening, to certainly dealing with acute things that you might have, a common cold or an infection, and to really helping people to manage chronic diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, asthma, the host of things that you can get that's chronic HIV. Steve and Dana were just here. We have an infectious disease doctor who treats a number of HIV/AIDS patients on the island. So we do the whole gamut.
Yeah, that's so important that it's all in one place, I think, and so helpful to the community at large.
And you start to build that relationship with these folks, and they can keep coming. It's not like we'll serve you until a certain point and then you're on your own.
No.
Right.
This can go on forever in whatever your needs will be, as a family, as an individual, etc. And I think that's a key factor. Growing up, I wasn't in the 6th grade in the 90s, but I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I wasn't either, for what it's worth.
I wasn't either. I'm 62 years old.
I'm just picking.
I know, I'm just kidding.
And for those of you who can't see, he just turned red. So
Yeah,
we did embarrass him a little bit.
I can power small cities with this face.
Yeah. But that was one of the key elements to many families back, when I was growing up, was the family doctor.
Yeah.
And the family, and it was that small doctor's office, and the people around that doctor, and you counted on that doctor for just about everything.
The
So-
personal relationship,
Exactly.
Yeah, the level of trust
Yeah,
that's
they
there.
they knew you,
Right.
they knew your family history, And this is the kind of thing that your clinic can be building for families.
It's funny that you should say that, because again, nationwide, there's this new sort of model of care that the health centers are really building, and it's around that family doc, where it's actually called a patient-centered medical home, where you become that everything for that patient. You help that patient, you link them to different services and needs, and you coordinate and, help them really go through the system, and you keep them, with,
Right.
and just
You're kind of like
organize
their
and coordinate.
advocate.
Exactly.
throughout, yeah.
But you are like their touchstone, where you are their family doc, and anything they need, we're responsible for, whether we provide it in-house or we refer them out, but making sure that we always know where they're at, whether they end up in the hospital and getting them back in for care. Yeah.
So, Dana, you help the community. Your agency helps the community in so many different ways, almost across the gamut medically. In this holiday season, what's on your wish list? How can the community help you guys out?
Oh my goodness. Well, there's always, certainly there's never enough money for any of the nonprofits for all the little things that we want to do, whether it's programs or even infrastructure needs. I'm thinking about one of the ways that we've been writing some of our grants lately is hindsight being 2020, our facility doesn't have automatic doors to open when patients come. So you have patients that are in wheelchairs, or even moms in strollers, or crutches, canes. And so we've been writing to all the foundations that we think might be willing to fund to allow us to install some automatic door openers, both for our restrooms, our main entrances, and some of our other critical entrances. So that's sort of some of the things that are on our wish list.
That's interesting, because you're right. Hindsight's 2020. Sometimes you wouldn't even think that would be such a, not critical, but
you
like,
think about it.
Yeah. And then, you start practicing, and then you're like, oh, of course.
Dang.
Or you see somebody struggle.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean, that's usually when it hits us, and we go, oh my gosh, how did we forget
didn't
that?
even
Right.
think about that.
Right.
Yeah.
So certainly there's little things that we didn't think about with the facility that we are now, needing.
Okay.
But
Volunteers,
absolutely. We have been working with the community college and bringing in, and the other beautiful thing that we're doing now that we have a facility to do it is we're becoming a real learning experiential facility. We've got dental residents now. We've got nursing residents from the community college. We've got registered dietitians. We've got even colleges from the mainland now coming in. We've got psychology residents. So we're becoming I think right in the last quarter we've had 10 students ranging from PhDs all the way to RNs and everything in between. But we do take volunteers, to do things that may not necessarily be patient related, because there's, the Privacy
right?
Protection Act.
Right.
But, things like putting packets together, educational packets, there are things that we need. And we finally have the space to accommodate and have people help us.
So exciting.
That the space factor. I mean,
Space.
how many places are just so crowded
Right.
that it's like, you just feel uncomfortable being there because you're crunched up.
Yep.
Right.
But you've got this basically when you walk in the front door, it's like this wide open space. You go, okay, where am I going? Which department am I headed for, right?
Yep. And we did that on purpose so that it could really be a greeting space, and it didn't have to have this feeling of chaos where it's a big waiting room and everybody's just waiting. And so all of the departments that we have their own waiting space, which is really nice.
That's great.
So the front area is just kind of a staging
It's really a
area.
greeting. It's, how can we help you? How can we
Yeah.
direct you? And how
Yeah.
can we get you to the right spot? And we've got a beautiful fountain, and, we've got some good feng shui going on in there. And,
Nice.
we really felt like we wanted to make a difference in people's lives, and we didn't want to be this sterile institution.
Gotcha.
That a lot of emergency rooms or hospitals these days are. Yeah.
Well, and I think a lot of folks are trying to move away from that, and they're trying to create, places where people can really feel like it's not a sterile environment.
Do you have another location on island
We
someplace?
do, as I said before, we started out at the Kahale Akeola Homeless Resource Center, and we're still there in Wailuku, and we're
Okay.
at the Nahale Owainee shelter in Lahaina, so we have a small clinic there.
Okay, great.
For folks who need either for residents in the shelter or
Right.
those, again, Lahaina, it's kind of a trek to come over here, so we have patients from within the community that use the center.
Terrific.
So how do people get in touch with you if they need to? Either if they want to donate whatever, money, time, or need
Come-
medical assistance.
Okay.
Is it the same number?
Same number, 871-7772.
871-7772.
And we were formerly Community Clinic of Maui. Still, that's our corporate name, but our trade name is Malama Ikeola Health Center.
Great.
I just, every time I talk with Dana, I'm just in awe of what she's been able to put together. And I keep using you as the figurehead, obviously, because it does. How many people have you got over there now?
Almost 100.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And docs of every specialty. And now, as we said, dentists. We've got a pediatric dentist. So we've got a
Wow.
pediatric dentistry program now. So we're just continuing to grow and continuing to contribute. And we are, is the season to be very thankful.
Yeah. How many staff did you start off with?
Well, when I started, there was 7 of us back in 1995. So
That's awesome.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, true success story, not only for what Dana's been able to do, but for the community and the patients and your board of directors. I mean, what a fabulous job of putting this all together.
yeah, I have a great board.
That's terrific.
Great board. And, I think we can all say how important it is to have great boards to do what we do.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wind down this day before Thanksgiving, and I gotta go find somebody to fix my oven, or I'm not gonna have turkey tomorrow.
Somebody will
that
take
was-
you in,
that was-
Susie.
Yes. Don't doubt
I
that.
know. I made arrangements with my neighbor. I'm gonna run it over there because they're taking their turkey down to the church to go in the emu, and I'm gonna take over their oven. But
What
it was
a-
just such a, it's like. I don't use the oven that often. 16 people coming for dinner tomorrow.
For the one- yeah.
If you're one of those, you will have turkey, I promise, one way or another. Anyway,
literally be the worst day for an oven to go out. But anyways, so let's
Yeah.
wrap up the show, I
Okay.
suppose. So we just wanted, as we're being thankful,
Yes.
thank you all for joining us today on Maui Nonprofit Notes. This show is sponsored as a community service by Pacific Source, the builder's choice. If you are building or remodeling your home, please stop by their showroom in the Waikapu Base Yard. The Maui Nonprofit Directors Association's mission is to provide personal and professional support to nonprofit executive directors, their organizations, and the community of Maui.
And today we visited with Dana Alonzo Howith, who is here from Malama Ikeola Health Center. And earlier we visited with Steve Heyer, Executive Director of Maui AIDS Foundation, and his Director of Development, Dana Nitty. And I don't know about you, Max, but I always learn so much more. It seems like we get just a little deeper into what everybody's doing
Yeah.
with each show that we do with them. And for those of you out there, we encourage you to get involved. Give, advocate, or volunteer for your favorite nonprofit. Do it today. What are you waiting for? Visit our website at mauinonprofit.org for a list of member agencies. Click on the agency that you want to learn more about on the membership list, and it will take you to their website to find out all you need to know about them and how to contact them. Next week, we'll be back, 11:10 a.m., 96.7 FM here at KAOI Radio. Max, Dana, Gary, have a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy holidays
Happy
to
holidays.
you as
And
well.
we'll see you next Wednesday.
Aloha.
Aloha.